morning, students. Today we will discuss on structuralism. Almost all literary theorists, beginning with Aristotle, have emphasized the importance of structure, conceived in diverse ways in analyzing a work of literature. Structuralist criticism, however, now designates the practice of critics who analyze literature on the explicit model of structuralist linguistics. The class includes a number of Russian formalists, especially Roman Jakobson, but consists most prominently of a group of writers with their headquarters in Paris who apply to literature the concepts and analytic distinctions developed by Ferdinand de Saussure in his course in general linguistics. This mode of criticism is part of a larger movement, French structuralism, inaugurated in the 1950s by the cultural anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss, who analyzed on the model of Saussure's linguistics such cultural phenomena as mythology, kinship relations, and modes of preparing food. In its early form, as employed by Lévi-Strauss and other writers in the 1950s and 1960s, structuralism cuts across the traditional disciplinary areas within and between the humanities and social sciences by undertaking to provide an objective account of all social and cultural practices in a range that includes mythical narratives, literary texts, advertisements, fashions in clothes, and pattern of social decorum. It views these practices as combinations of signs that have a set significance for the members of a particular culture and undertakes to make explicit the rules and procedures by which the practices have achieved their cultural significance, and to specify what that significance is by reference to an underlying system of the relationships among signifying elements and their exposition. The elementary cultural phenomena, like the elements of language in Saussure's theory, are not objective facts identifiable by their inherent properties, but purely relational entities. That is, their identity as signs is given to them by their relationships of different from and binary opposition to other elements within the cultural system. Structuralism is in explicit opposition to mimetic criticism, to expressive criticism, and to any form of the view that literature is a mode of communication between author and the readers. More generally, in its attempt to develop a science of literature and in many of its salient concepts, the radical forms of structuralism depart from the assumptions and ruling ideas of traditional humanistic criticism. In the structuralist view, what had been called a literary work became a text. That is a mode of writing constituted by play of internal elements according to specifically literary convention and codes. These factors may generate an illusion of reality, but have no truth value nor even any reference to a reality existing outside the literary system itself. The individual author or subject is not assigned any initiative, expressive intentions, or design as the origin or producer of a work. Instead of conscious self, it is declared to be a construct that is itself the product of the working of the linguistic system, and the mind of an author is described as an imputed space within which the impersonal, already existing system of literary language, conventions, codes, and rules of combinations gets precipitated into a particular text. Structuralism replaces the author with the reader as the central agency in criticism, but the traditional reader as a conscious, purposeful, and feeling individual is replaced by the impersonal activity of reading. And what is read is not a work imbued with meanings, but a creature writing. The focus of structuralist criticism, accordingly, is not on the sensibility of the reader, but on the impersonal process of reading, which, by bringing into play the requisite conventions, codes, and expectations, makes literary sense of the sequence of words, phrases, and sentences that constitute a text. In the 1960s, the structuralist enterprise, in its rigorous form and inclusive pretensions, ceded its central position to deconstruction and other modes of post-structural theories, which subverted the scientific claims of structuralism and its view that literary meanings are made determinate by a system of invariant conventions and codes. Structuralist promises and procedures, however, continue to be deployed in a number of current enterprises, and especially in the semiotic analysis of cultural phenomena, in stylistics, and in the investigations of the formal structures that, in their combinations and variations, constitute the plot in novels. A clear and comprehensive survey of the program and accomplishments of structuralist literary criticism in poetry as well as narrative prose is Jonathan Kuller, Structuralist Poetics, also Robert Scholl's Structuralism in Literature, an introduction. For an introduction to the general movement of structuralism, we see Peter Cow's Structuralism, a famous book, and we can read another book also. For example, Philip Petit, The Concept of Structuralism, Terence Hawkes, Structuralism and Semiotics, Christian Matt's Language of Film, etc.